of Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery, here on many of my social media outlets. How are you tonight? Glad to have you along with us on what was actually a pretty nice day, wasn't it? Kind of a beautiful day, actually. Oh, so there, bring that music down a little bit. No comments yet. I think probably something going on because I should see. There we go. Let me make sure my destinations are good. They are. But no comments. That's weird. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Now we go. Hey, Cliff, good evening. How are you? Ed, nice to have you along with us. Craig, always a pleasure. Ricky, thanks for joining us. Mike, thanks for being along with us. Randy, Brian, Uncle Johnny, how are you, buddy? Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery. I'm here at my office at the house, my studio at the house. And ready to share some things with you. Out in the Bear Woods. Johnny, what are you doing out in the Bear Woods? Had your boss riding with you today? Well, yeah, you probably couldn't tune into me today. Jerry, good evening. How are things in Algonac? Kevin, Coyote Killing King Ron, how are you? What are you doing? Again, Johnny, what are you doing out in the Bear Woods? Why are you not at Andy's? What are you doing out in the woods? You're not baiting yet, are you? Everything's going great, Jim. How are you? Good evening, Bernie. Good evening, David, watching over on YouTube. John Callison, good evening. Car Hauler, how are you? Jason Karsten's checking in from the Sioux True North Guide Service. Good evening, Jason. Jeff Plant, thanks for joining us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Again, my name is Mike Avery. I want to talk about a few things going on, including the weather, which has been absolutely crazy. Just looking around. Johnny says, just looking around, checking out the woods. I know you're not turkey hunting, Johnny, because I know you hate turkey hunting. Absolutely hate it. I'm not quite sure why, because in my mind, turkey hunting is a lot like bear hunting, at least the way I do it, with a bow or a crossbow in a blind over bait or over decoys. Steve, good evening. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Hey, Julie, you answered my question before I even asked it. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman, how are you? Jason said, are you using a 2-hen decoy or just or a hen and a jake? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to use a hen. That's it. Just a hen tomorrow morning. Raymond, good evening. How are you? And then, well, I'm going to show you the video of it, in fact. Cold and foggy on Lake St. Clair this morning, Jim says. Matt, how are you? Bill says, good evening. Loved hearing your turkey hunting adventure. I've got video of the shot that I'm going to show you here shortly. Here on Wednesday Night Live. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go out there right at daylight. I'm going to sit for a couple of hours and see. And if I don't get any action, I'm going to move because I think I've educated those birds. Although today I drove by there and there were 4 longbeards in the field across the road. So they are still around. I just think they're not roosting where they were before. And I think they're on to me because it's a pretty small piece of property. And I have a very small place that I can hunt on this property. So I had that wonderful opportunity opening morning. I blew it. I think I educated the birds, and now I think they're on to me. However, I do have access to a couple of other pieces of property, including another one maybe tomorrow I'm going to go look at that I haven't hunted yet. But if I'm lucky, I won't have to. I can just get my bird tomorrow. Jason said he saw the video, couldn't tell if the closest decoy was a jake or not. It was not a jake. Those damn turkeys, John says. They're here, they're everywhere, same time, same chat, but opening day, they're gone. I actually had a close encounter with 3 longbeards, but I missed. And I'll show you that miss here in a minute. Good evening, Paul. How are you? David, appreciate you being along with us. So the weather, right? The weather's been absolutely crazy. Bat crap crazy. It's been cold. You knew we were going to pay for those few days that were in the mid-80s a couple of weeks ago. Nobody wanted them, but we had them, and you knew it was going to screw things up, and now look how cold it's been. Oh, the twins say hi. Hey, kiddos, how are you? Papa with Papa Nami tonight, huh? Mike, good evening. How are you? There is a Christmas tree in my truck, on the side of my truck. And that's a private joke between me and Uncle Johnny. He would get it. Peyton and Rai. Jerry, good evening. How are you? Appreciate you being along with us. But the weather's been crazy. It's been cold out there in the mornings. Today it got pretty nice. Supposed to be cold and rainy this weekend. For the opening day of trout season here in Michigan. Hey, good evening, Cap. Right back at you. Steve, I hunted Allegan County Saturday through Monday. Don't think there's a morel or turkey left on state land. There were more guys in the woods on opening day of gun season for deer. That's interesting. That is interesting that turkey season has gotten so popular. John says the frogs were talking before Easter, which means it would freeze again. John, let's see. Let me do a screen cap on that. I'm going to add that to my list. Capture of old wives' tales. My dad told me something like that, but I don't remember exactly what it was. Good evening, Dan. How are you tonight? Allegan County, Southwest Michigan. Turkey hunting has gotten pretty popular, although some people just don't like it. Don't like it at all. I don't get it. Again, trout season opens statewide Saturday in Michigan. Walleye and pike season opens in the lower peninsula. Our friends in the Yup will have to wait until May 15th. Smelt run's just wrapping up. I hear there's a pretty good smelt run across much of the state, especially the UP. Bought 2 more Pure Michigan tags today, Jerry did. Well, that's a good idea because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Marilyn, good morning. Good evening. How are things in Rochester Hills? Johnny says there's still some snow around up there. But apparently you're in a place where you got a good cell signal. Oh, I need to push this too before I forget, because this sale ends at the end of the weekend. It ends Sunday night. Go to the website versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. Use the promo code HUNT50 and save 50% off everything on the online store at VersaSkins. HUNT50, save half off through Sunday night, through April. Davina, good evening. How are you? Jeff says, don't forget about the Freeland Walleye Festival. Steve says they love it around here. The only birds I saw were on private land. Huh. If you're wondering what that noise is, I think my wife's taking a shower upstairs, if you can hear it. Directly above my head, by the way, I should note. I said, I heard the shower fire up, and I'm like, kid, you just, too late. Jerry, good evening. Davina got her VersaSkins today. Brett, good evening. How are you? Jerry says, doubled up with his brother opening morning. A big fan of tandem turkey hunting. Lots of fun. Turkey hunting in general is a lot of fun, isn't it? Brett, good evening. Provide a link to HUNT50. John Kramer, go to versaskins.com. Go to versaskins.com. Again, versaskins.com. The link is VersaSkins, VERSA skins. http://www.versaskins.com. Go to the online store and use the promo code HUNT50, and you can save half off. It's a tremendous deal. Dave, good evening. How are you? Josh says, how's your turkey hunting going? Got your time opening morning for 23rd season in a row. Show off. I thought I was going to have the shortest turkey season I've ever had. I had 2 longbeards in my lap at 6:30. Video coming shortly. Johnny says he's 4 miles north of Seney and 1 mile west. Daryl, good evening. How are things up in White River? Daryl is our White River, Ontario wolf hunting friend. And I'll be seeing Daryl in just about a month now, 5 weeks now, as I go north to White River to hunt bears with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Davina said she missed me this morning, had her immigration interview exam for citizenship. Thank you, Davina. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. The fact that you guys are going through the hassle of doing it right. Cheers. Here's to you. Okay. Let's talk about my turkey hunting, because it has had its trials and tribulations. My day's been very good, Melissa. How about you? You passed, too. Well, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I had turkeys on camera this afternoon. They're just teasing. Turkeys are excellent teasers. Turkeys are outstandingly frustrating birds. They can be so stupid. You drive over to your hunting spot. Yeah, I've heard this before. It says, Johnny Bowler, find me a nice bear for this fall. I asked Johnny for the same thing last fall, Ed, and what did he do? He found a nice bear, but he gave it to our friend Scott Gatza. Daryl says still snow in the forecast. Well, I hope it's gone in the bush by the time we get up there. Hello, Jeff. How are you? Bernie says he's hunted bear, deer, small game, did some trapping. He never hunted turkeys. Always been told many times that you're missing out. You are missing out. The thing about turkey hunting is the first time you make a call and a bird gobbles, you're hooked. Yes, if you keep Scott Gatza away, and you'll be in good shape. That's what I thought was going to happen on my hunt, and lo and behold, Johnny put him on my bear. And I thought Johnny and I were tight, right? I thought we were like buddies. I thought we were friends. I thought we'd established this relationship over the last few years of just being real honest and straightforward with each other. And so when Johnny said he had a bear for me and then he gave it to Scott, I was heartbroken. Really. I mean, I shed a little bit of a tear and then I said a swear word. So, I just know what you're getting into there, Ed. Hey, Ed, are you going to use your crossbow? Are you going to use a gun? What are you going to use? And are you hunting with Johnny this fall? Do you have points? I will not be hunting with Johnny this fall because I won't have enough points, but I'll be bear hunting in White River, Ontario, Canada in about 5 weeks now. I'll be sitting in a blind. I'll be sitting in one of my Wraith 270 see-through blinds. I'll be sitting over bait and hunting bear. William says that first gobble is life-changing, and it actually is. Davina, just wait your time. Steve said the same thing. Nothing like the rush of hearing the wood shake when one gobbles. Here's my setup for my story and a quick little video I'm going to show you. I have a real nice piece of property that my friend Doug lets me hunt, and it's only 2 miles here from the house. It's just across the road. It's not bad. Hey, Tom, how you doing, buddy? Tom and the whole Cedar Springs Red Hawk class of 76 crew. Who's there? Who's there? Gavin says he missed a Tom this morning at 7:30, but I redeemed myself by getting my limit on the North Channel. For some reason, you don't feel good. Well, you still got your limit, right? You can use a crossbow. Excellent. Who's there tonight, Tom? Class of 1976 Cedar Springs Redhawks. Some classmates of mine who I graduated high school with in 76 got together and they're having dinner tonight. And it just happened to be the same time as Wednesday Night Live. Okay, my setup for opening morning, I'm hunting this piece of property close to the house. I know there are birds there, but it's kind of a tough piece to hunt because I'm not in the woods. I'm on a field edge next to the woods, and I can't hunt in the woods because it's the neighbor's property. So I know the birds are roosting on the south end of the property, just into the woods. So my goal, my task is to call them off the roost, call them out in the open, and shoot them as they're heading north, because that's what they like to do. They roost in the south, they work their way north, and then they go out in the fields. A ton of birds and fields in the morning. Gene, good evening. How are you? Rodney, the birds can humble you, and you are right. It's hooked the first time they talk back to you. So that's the setup. And I've been scouting these birds. I know they're there. I know where they want to go. So who's there, Tom? Give me some names. Who's there? Tom says it's too loud here, Mike. Everybody says hi. Who's there? Who? Give me some names, Tom. That's so cool. That is so cool. All right. So I'm set up in my Wraith. I've got 2 decoys in front of me, 2 hen decoys in front of me. I hear 3 birds gobble on the roost. Didn't say anything to them. I'm nice and quiet. I'm chill, right? I'm waiting for the outdoor world to wake up. So, and I give them till about 6:20, 6:25. I figure, okay, they're just flying down now. I didn't hear them fly down, but I figure they're just flying down now. So I give them one little call, like a chirp, 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 and bang, 2 birds gobbled like they were on fire, right? I didn't see them, but they're just around the corner from me. Okay. So let me show you this video of these 2 birds coming in, and this is 6:30 opening morning. I thought it was going to be the shortest turkey season I've ever had. This is shot from the Tacticam on my bow. So the video quality isn't great. These are the birds that came around between the trees there. There's one of my decoys. That decoy is 16 yards away. I got my new crossbow up. That's what you see the movement of. I'm going to shoot the bird. I'm going to shoot the bird on the left. Okay. Carol Lee, Jim DeCorn, Gene Finch, Mark Gebhardt, Tammy, a bunch of us. That is very cool. Hello, everybody. How are you? I appreciate you guys joining me tonight on Wednesday Night Live. These are people I've known for 50 years now? 50 years. I should ask Mapes about turkey hunting. Wide to the left, it was. Good evening, Ross. How are you? I'm going to show you this video again just a second. Johnny Buller says, Zach, Katie, and Ashley say, Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. Because they're 20 yards away. I figured 20 yards away was close enough. Okay, so here's what happened. I got a new crossbow. I got a new 10-point crossbow, and I really like it, and I've been shooting it a lot. I mean, a lot. And I had it dialed in. I was dialed in at 20. I was dialed in at 30. I was dialed in at 40. I was dialed in at 50. I was even dialed in at 60. Although I had set myself a limit, I was not going to shoot a bird past 30 yards. I'd set a limit of 30 yards. Well, these birds were coming into 30. Ask me these questions again in a minute, folks. I need to finish my thought right here, or I'll never get back to it. So hold off on your questions for just a minute. But I do want to answer them. They're all good questions. I did everything right. I scouted. I was set up right. I had the birds patterned. The crossbow was absolutely dialed in. I mean, it was dead on, spot on. I had the utmost in confidence in that thing. So when I put the crosshairs on that lead bird, the center of his chest, in fact, I expected I was probably going to shoot his beard off. When I put the center of the crosshair in the center of his chest, and pulled that trigger at 20 yards using my top reticle, my top crosshair, and it went left, it shook me. Because I thought, I just shot this bow yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was dead on. And it shook me up. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So what you don't see on this video, and maybe I have it. Let me just see if I can look and find it real quick, because if I can find this video, you're going to get a rush out of this one. But it might be on my phone, and I won't be able to pull it up right now. Oh, I know where I can find it. I didn't think of this, my friends. Give me just a second, because I'll show you some video of a second bird. Okay, now how do I... All right, I can open it with QuickTime. And then I can, there we go, file, export as, no, that's audio. That's not going to work for me. Give me a second here. I'm not very well prepared, but I think you'll enjoy this video. There we go. File, export as 720. And this is 5660. Save. Okay, as it's exporting. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you video. 6660. Present video file 5660. There it is. Okay. So this second bird, there he is right there. That's the second one. Let me set this up before we get there. Two birds were coming in. I missed the one on the left. He runs off to the right. I see him. He's fine. I shaved some feathers off him, but he's absolutely fine. The second bird, when I missed the first one, he circles around. He comes into the decoy, and there he is. He puts on a heck of a show. Well, I was shooting my decoy. I was shooting my broadheads. I'm telling you, I did absolutely everything right except for one thing. All right, this bird right here, I did not shoot him. I did not hit the decoy. Why did I not shoot this bird? I'll tell you why. Because I knew when I missed that first bird, something was wrong. Like I said, I had been so dead on, and I knew I was dead on, and I was confident I was dead on, that when I shot left, I knew something was wrong, and I didn't dare to shoot that other bird in front of me, so I let him go. So I get out of the woods, and I take the crossbow, and I think, okay, I got to shoot it again. And I shot it, and it was indeed shooting to the left. I was indeed off to the left. How can that be? Well, here's what I did. After sighting my bow in and dialing it in and getting it absolutely perfect, I decided at the last minute to put a Tacticam on my rail, my crossbow rail beneath the scope. Now, that shouldn't do anything to the point of aim, to the accuracy, in theory, because you're just clamping it on the same piece of metal, steel, aluminum, whatever it is, that your scope is clamped onto. It doesn't touch the scope. It doesn't move the scope at all. But for some reason, it did move it. That's the only thing I can think of that happened. All right, let me show you the first one again. Here's the birds coming in. The one on the left I shoot at. The one on the right is the one that came in and danced around the decoy and gave me a show. This is 6:30 Saturday morning. The season has just barely started. I'm getting ready to go. You can see in the bottom of the frame, you can see my crossbow limb. Obviously missed him to the left. I do cut feathers off. There was no blood. I watched the bird. He was fine. Just about immediate, maybe like 10 seconds later, the second guy comes in. He circles around this decoy. He strutted there for several minutes. He's picking at the decoy, put on a tremendous show. It was wonderful to watch. He's 16 yards in front of me. And I thought, Avery, you're not going to blow it with two birds. I can't do this. I can't take the shot. So that's the only thing I can think of. It was a rookie mistake to change something, no matter how minuscule, no matter how minute, no matter how small. It was a rookie mistake to make a change and then not make sure your bow is still dialed in. So it cost me. All right, let me go back to some of your questions here. Is there such a thing as turkey fever? I would imagine there was. Johnny, it was close. $64,000 question. So are the birds still hanging around there or did they move on? If they're still there, you have a chance on getting them. That bow didn't spook them. The birds are still around, although I've hunted. That was Saturday morning. Sunday I was in church. I hunted Monday and I hunted Tuesday morning and Tuesday night, and I haven't seen a longbeard since then. Monday morning, I called in 6 hens and there wasn't a tom with them. Today I was driving by the property and there were 4 longbeards out in the field across the road. So they're still there. I just don't know if they're roosting where they were. I'm going to give it a try tomorrow morning. I'm going to go back out there tomorrow morning. I'm going to put 1 feeding hen decoy in front of me. I'm going to stay quiet and I'm going to see what happens. Maybe I'll luck out. Maybe I'll stumble into a bird tomorrow. If I see no sign of toms there, that they've changed their patterns, I'll switch to another property. Kevin says, what kind of broadheads do you use while turkey hunting? I think this is an interesting question because in my mind, I'm on the verge of switching broadheads. I like REK broadheads, R-E-K, American-made, Michigan-made, family-owned broadheads. I've been using the REK expandable heads. I've only shot 1 critter with them, and that was a bear, and it was devastating. But I would like to keep using them. However, the thing that frustrates me with the REKs is, the expandable is, in my opinion, they are very easy. If you bump them or something, they'll come out deployed, and then you pull them out of your quiver and you go to shoot it, and that's already deployed. On my new crossbow, my 10-point, it is set up differently than my Darton. My Darton had a big foot stirrup at the front end of it where you would put your foot in and then pull on the rope to cock the bow. That foot stirrup stuck out far enough where if I put my crossbow nose down in the dirt like I routinely do, like it's my pattern, my habit, if I put my crossbow nose down, my darton foot stirrup would protect the broadhead and I didn't have to worry about it. Well, I was out there in the blind Saturday and didn't consciously realize that my 10 point had this little tiny foot stirrup. It's not even to put your foot in because you don't cock it with your foot. You cock it with your Accu slide or Accu glide or whatever it is. And so I put my bow down in the dirt and it ruined the broadhead. Now this is after the fact. Okay. I didn't miss that bird because of that. So I think I might want to go back to a fixed blade head. If I can get a fixed blade head to fly right, two of them I'm looking at. One of the fixed blade heads from Rec, or possibly just going back to the old G5 Montec. If I can get the G5 Montec cut on contact to fly right, I think I will probably go back to that. Okay, next question. It was close, Johnny. It was, like I said, I cut feathers off. It was very close. Good evening, Tim. How are you? I've had turkeys jump my arrow so many times, it's crazy. I got one nice time over the years with it. This bird, I'm convinced, did not jump the string. I just missed him. Is there such a thing as turkey fever? I don't think I had turkey fever, but I was excited when those birds were coming in. Rookie mistake, just like when we tracked my bear that night in White River. Isn't that interesting, Ross? Just because we spend a lot of time in the outdoors doesn't mean we make stupid mistakes, because we do. Yes, this was the miss from opening day, and I'll come back and show it again. What else? I do always shoot my broadheads, always. And that's another thing. I think if I go back to, say, a fixed blade head, it'll be easier. Like right now, I shoot the Rec practice heads, and they do fly just like a broadhead. But I wouldn't mind just like shooting it, taking one G5, making my sacrificial, a Montec or even a Rec, and making it my sacrificial broadhead and just shooting that. And we did get losted. Yes, we did. Did I hit the decoy? No. Both birds were nice birds. The only one you got was fast enough to turn you like 180 degrees. Good evening, James. How are you? I did get good footage. Absolutely. Yeah, I can relive that moment now and over again, even though I'd kind of like to forget about it sometimes. I did the right thing. Interesting point. Eric says, as cool as it is to have a tom call back to you the first time you hear a close bull elk sounds, that's like life-changing. I bet it is. That's the way she goes sometimes. We do all miss. It's what makes the next hunt even better with more hope. Keep you going. I've missed more shots over the years than I've made. And the interesting thing about that, Steve, is I had one jackass on the Facebook page said, hey, Avery, you talk a really good show on the really good story on the show, but you really don't kill that many things. I never claimed to be an expert, and I will share the good and the bad. If I have a success, I'll share it. If I screw up, I'll share it. How many people now can be reminded by me posting and talking about it publicly to check your gear one last time before you make any kind of a change? I'm no expert. Nobody loves it more than I do, though. Michael, good evening. How are you? Dave says I give you credit for not taking a shot at that second bird. Yeah. But a couple inches to the right, she was exactly, Johnny. No, I hear you. 2 inches to the right, and that was a dead bird. I feel like I do, Josh. I feel like you do. That's right, Jason. That's why I'm looking at a G5 Montec. They're also Michigan made. If the hens are there, the toms will return. Do I use a box or a slate? I primarily use a slate call. That's my go-to call. However, when they get in close, I use the Greg Abbas A-Way Outdoors Turkey Trooper. No call makes a purr or a putt like that Turkey Trooper. What made you want to use a Tacticam when you had your tripod set up? I've never used any filming equipment, so just curious for future use. Because the big camera is a pain in the rear end. Pain in the rear end. I use it because it gets better video. When I was doing a TV show, I had to use it for the quality of the video. I just like having a second angle. For example, the video of this miss, when I looked at it from my video camera to the right, it looks like a direct hit. You've got to see the view from right behind it to see that it's actually a miss. Johnny, you couldn't use a shorter arrow on that. That's as short as it goes. It's as short as they want you to use. It's a 20-inch arrow. It's as short as it goes. Johnny says his Raven does have a foot stirrup. John says, dump the modern crossbow. Go back to the recurve. Fred Bear would be proud. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute, John Kramer. First of all, did you ever meet Fred? Did you ever talk to Fred? Did you ever interview Fred? Okay, so we got that basis set there. I have hunted with a recurve. I have killed turkeys with a recurve. I killed a bear with a recurve. I love hunting with a recurve. A recurve is the best fun I've ever had in any kind of a hunting situation. The problem with the recurve is you have to be extremely dedicated and extremely loyal and hardcore. 2 years ago, I got busy enough with life that I knew I wasn't shooting my recurve enough to be proficient and accurate enough to have confidence. In fact, at the end of the last deer season, when I was hunting with that thing, I thought, you know what? If a big doe walks in front of me, will I actually shoot her or not? When I got to that point and realized I'd lost my confidence because I didn't have the proficiency, the accuracy, and the time with the bow, I knew it was time to move on. So, what is better? Is it better to be a macho man and to use a recurve and shoot instinctively and maybe miss what you're shooting at or make a bad shot? Or is it better to shoot a crossbow, which you have more confidence in? Now, granted, I did miss this bird with a crossbow here, but overall, my odds and my confidence level are far better with the crossbow. And I'm not one of those jokers who's going to shoot out to 80 yards. The bow will shoot 80 yards. I'm going to limit my shots to 30, maybe 40 on a whitetail. So, no, I'm not going to dump the modern crossbow. In fact, I'm embracing the modern crossbow. The first time I ever saw a crossbow, I was standing shoulder to shoulder with Fred Bear at Grousehaven in 1986. Bear Archery was showing him their new crossbows that they were looking at for prototypes. So I don't think Fred really had a real problem with crossbows. Fred liked everything that promoted archery. Of course, I sighted in my bow with the broadheads, and they did not fly differently. Brent's watching the show right now from the woods. Good luck to you. John says, absolutely, there's turkey fever. John says, you're making me want to go turkey hunting. You should. John, the Ozcut broadheads. If I leave my rec mechanical, it'll be for a rec fixed blade or a G5 fixed blade. Ramcat Hydroshock. Ruben, how are things in Colorado? How much did that miss cost me? Well, I'll tell you what. My 10-point lighted arrows are $33 a piece. But I recovered it. I'll show you again, and you can see it. I walked down the field and picked it up. What about the Versaskins? Why is there a zipper around the waist? Davina, I can't think of a zipper around the waist. There's one in the front where you zip on your outer skin. Okay, Todd, this is what I was looking for. The Rec FX4 shoots great out of the Raven R10. Okay, that's good to know. That's great to know. Hey, Bernie. Hey, good evening, Mark. How are you? I'm going to show some video here, Mark. Hey, Joe, good evening. Always a pleasure. How are you, Bruce? Thanks for joining us. Well, see, Johnny says, when I was bear hunting with Johnny, I was using my recurve. And at that time, I had tremendous confidence in it. Johnny says, you hit the stump every time. What would happen is we would go out to the blind, and I would sit in my blind in the chair, and I would take a shot at a small little piece of wood next to the bait, so it gave myself confidence. But Johnny, that's when I was shooting a lot. Yeah, Davina, please send a pic. Ruben, still snow in the high country. Good evening, Jeff. Dave says he loves the G5 Montec. I do too. Okay. So for folks just joining you, I'm going to show these videos one last time, then we'll move on to something else. This is opening morning. Michigan Turkey Woods, 6:30. I'm thinking this is the fastest season I'm ever going to have. Here's what happens. What you see in the bottom of the frame there is the limb of my crossbow. That's from the Tacticam. 6:30 in the morning. The video quality looks bad because it's still so dark. I know I'm going to shoot the lead one. He's not strutting, but he's a redhead. He's leading. He gets to that 20 yards mark. Boom. Okay, one more time. Just because, and I won't put it in slow-mo. We'll watch. You'll see feathers. I cut feathers, although I may have cut out of the videos too quick. I'm aiming right at the beard. You can see where the beard is. I'm aiming right at the beard. Boom. Okay. 5 seconds after I make that shot, you saw the second bird come in? Here's the second bird. They weren't too scared at the time. They ran off a few yards. The one that I missed stood there looking around like, what happened? He was fine. I saw him. And this guy comes in and molests my decoy. Now, what a beautiful video shot that is, and what a beautiful bow shot that would have been. Didn't shoot it because I had lost confidence, because I knew that my bow was right on him, because I missed that first bird. I'm thinking something's wrong. Turns out it was. Good evening, Ken. How are you? Jim says an ethical hunter only uses the equipment he's confident with. Absolutely. And if that equipment that you're confident is a 12 gauge with 3-inch magnums, God bless you. But if you're using a 12 gauge shotgun with 3-inch magnums, do not bust the chops of somebody using a crossbow. Sure is. I do too, but it's kind of fun though. It is weird, Joe, but it's the only thing I can think of. It's the only thing I can think of. It shouldn't have thrown that scope off. John said that's a real life looking decoy. They're Avian X. If you could see those in sunlight, those decoys look so close. John said if I had a recurve, those birds never would have come that close. Johnny says, I see why someone asked if you hit the decoy. That looks closer in the video. No, I didn't hit the decoy. Okay. Because Davina asked so long ago, who's on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week, Mike? Thanks for asking. Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee kicks off this week's show. Paul talks about early season trolling on Lake Michigan for trout and salmon. Then Nick Buja of the Michigan Wildlife Council. In hour number 2, in honor of the opening weekend of Michigan trout season opener, Dave Rose, outdoor writer and a fishing guide out of the Traverse City area, talks about trout fishing in the littlest creeks you could imagine. I mean, creeks like this wide. Maybe this wide. He said you don't even have to jump across them. You can just walk across them. He said he's pulled 18-inch trout out of creeks that are so narrow and skinny and shallow, you'd be amazed. So he talks about that. It's a fascinating topic, and Dave is very interesting. Then Bob Beaudry, who is the first Youper ever to win the Pure Michigan Hunt. We talk about that, and guess how many chances he took, how many applications he filled out, how many $5 entries he sent in. One. And he won. UP brook trout streams, although Dave is hunting in Northern Lower. He's not in the UP, but he's hunting in the Northern Lower. Yep, one chance. And then in hour number 3, Drew Youngdyke. Drew is a guy I have known for a long time. He used to be any thoughts on the new gun bill? Yeah, they suck. Absolutely suck. Worst feeling in the world is asking yourself what I could have done differently when you wounded. You know what? The good thing about that turkey is he's still out there, and I could get another shot at him. I didn't wound him. I just missed him. Johnny says, can't wait till the water gets lower. Good evening, Randy. How are you? What did you think of them? The 2 Avian X HDR decoys are just outstanding. Mark says he looked at a stream today about 3 feet across with 4 steelhead in it. Doesn't have to be a big body of water to have big fish. In hour number 3, Drew Youngdyke joins me. I first met Drew when he was a chief information officer of MUCC. He then moved on to National Wildlife Federation, and now he just got a new job. He's the head media guy nationally for Trout Unlimited. So in honor of the opening weekend of the Michigan trout season, I talked with Drew. And of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. It's a pretty good show this week, if I do say so myself. Then 2 more points and I'll let you go. My podcast this week was the Primal Podcast, and I had a conversation with Tyler Jordan, Bill Jordan's son. That's a lot of fun. It's fun for me. I mean, I don't idolize these people, but I do have respect for them. So it's fun for me as an old Michigan outdoor broadcaster to be involved in situations where I can talk to people like, David Blanton and Tyler Jordan. And it's kind of fun. And it's a pretty good conversation. Ed says, what did I decide for the Ask Avery segment? I talked about this whole concept of what makes an expert in the outdoors. And I based it on the comment that I try to avoid fishing for smallmouth. Not that I don't like them, it's just I don't like them. Thanks, Bernie. I mean, they're a lot of fun. I get it, right? But I'm a walleye guy. The conversation from the guy who said, Avery, you talk a good talk and you act like this big expert on the radio show, but how come you're not a better hunter? That was my topic of discussion. I never claimed to be an expert. Never claimed to be an expert on anything. The one area that I probably have a certain amount of knowledge and experience in is broadcasting. That I'm willing to pretty much talk with anybody about that, but I'm still not an expert. So I had that whole conversation. I talked about how I don't pretend to be an expert. The best way to put a target on your back is to call yourself an expert. I try to avoid that thing. I never call myself one, but I know people who are experts. I know how to get in touch with them, so I know how to get information and get questions answered. And the interesting thing about the term experts, even the true experts who I know, like the Mark Martins, the Mark Romanaks, the Lance Valentines, the John Eberhards, they all admit that they're constantly learning. So when these online social media warriors start talking to me about how much they know and what an idiot I am, I just keep in mind that the source. That's why I have experts on my show. That's why I have guests. This is an excellent question, Brent. How often will you hunt the same spot for turkeys before deciding to change? Tomorrow morning is my last spot, my last time in that spot on that farm, at least for a while if I have to come back. I hunted there Saturday morning. I had that close encounter with the two birds. Saturday afternoon, I jumped over to a different farm about 20 miles away. Didn't have any luck. Monday morning, I was back out there again on the other end of the property, the south end of the property, and I called in 6 birds, 6 hens. Now, how I called in 6 hens and there was not a longbeard behind them, I don't know. Yesterday, I went back out there and I hunted in the morning and at night and never saw a bird. So I'm giving it one last chance. I'm going out there tomorrow morning. I'm just going to be quiet, wait and see what happens. If I don't get any action tomorrow, I'm jumping to a new property. Good evening, Matt. How are you? I'm not trying to defend myself. The topic came up about the question of what was the Ask Avery segment. Stick together, bring people down. Ain't that the truth? But isn't that the world today? We are more bothered by it when it happens in the outdoor world because that's our frame of reference. That's our passion. Yeah. Hey, what's that TV or radio show you got again? June is coming up fast. Spider Lake, greetings. Hello, Bill. Good evening. How are you? You want to see that video one more time? Here it is. I've watched this video 1,000 times, but I've gone over it in my head 10,000 times. This is me opening morning. I called these birds in. I was set up perfectly. Perfect. My property only goes that I have access to down to that fence line, that wood line down there. So I don't have a lot of room. Boom. And then to make matters worse, his buddy comes back in and does this to my decoy. And why didn't I shoot him? Because I just missed a bird and I wasn't confident. But I've since resighted the bow in. I was indeed shooting off to the left. I'm good to go. I'm going to be out there tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be lucky and God will put one of those birds in front of me tomorrow and I can move on to other things. If not, I've got a new property. I'm going to move to. Ever try to find them in the roost? I know where they're roosting. I knew exactly where they were roosting because I had done my scouting. Like I said, I did everything right. I knew where they were scouting. I knew where they wanted to go. I played it perfectly. I was pretty proud of myself. I'm sitting there for a microsecond thinking, Avery, this is going to be the shortest turkey season you've ever had. But it didn't work out that way, did it? All right, my friends, thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. A special hi To all my high school classmates from Cedar Springs High School, 1976 Redhawks. Having a little get-together tonight. Have a beer for me, guys. My name is Mike Avery. The website's Mike Avery Outdoors. The website, Mike and Mike Avery Outdoors. And I got a little something I want to put in here. Have a good night, my friends. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live.